Hello, are you looking to get started on the clarinet? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm Mr. Rainier, and I'm going to teach you the basics of the clarinet. So go ahead and grab your clarinets in your cases, and we're going to start on the ground. Before opening our case, we want to make sure that the clarinet case is facing the correct direction. To do this, look for the logo and make sure that it is pointing upwards. If it is pointing upwards and you're able to see it, then you're easily able to open up your case and your clarinet will be sitting there waiting for you. Let's first go over the parts of the clarinet. So we have the bell, the lower joint, the upper joint, the barrel, and the mouthpiece and ligature. Now that we know the parts of the clarinet, we can move on to instrument assembly. But before that, we want to look at our corks on our clarinet. The corks on the clarinet are these brown things right here. And we have a bunch of these. And we want to make sure that these are not dry, because if it's dry, then it'll be difficult to put our instrument together. To make sure that it's not dry, we're going to grab our cork grease, which can either come in a tube like this, and if it comes in a tube like this, then you open it up, put some on your finger, and then gently apply it all around the cork. Cork grease can also come looking like chapstick. If that is the case, then you can open it up just like chapstick, put some on your finger, and apply it in the same way as a tube. Now that we've applied cork grease to our instrument, we can go ahead and build the clarinet. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So we're going to start with the bell of the clarinet, and then we're going to take our lower joint, looks like this one, has a cork just on the bottom, and we're going to place our fingers where these holes are to make sure not to squeeze the keys. If we squeeze the keys, then it'll put it out of alignment and then we won't be able to play our clarinet. So you want to put your fingers on these holes and gently twist and put this all the way on. Next, you're going to put on your upper joint to your lower joint. To do this, you want to make sure that you push this button, because this button raises this key right here, this bridge key. So for this, still not squeezing the key, so you're going to put your hands on these three holes, make sure to push down that button, and then bottom hand goes right here. Then you want to align your bridge key with this right here, making sure that is aligned. And that will look like this. So your bridge key is right here. Once you have done that, you can go ahead and put on your barrel, which is this. Still not squeezing the keys. And then lastly, we're going to take our mouthpiece and ligature. I recommend, so you want to take off your mouthpiece, and then I recommend taking off the ligature as well, because you don't want to break your ligature. Taking that off and putting on just the mouthpiece onto the barrel. Making sure that it faces away from all the keys. So now that we have our clarinet mouthpiece on the barrel and the rest of the clarinet, we're going to go ahead and grab our ligature and have these tightening rods always facing to the right. Go ahead and place that on and loosen up these tightening rods. Next, we're going to grab our reed, which this is a Diodario reed, but I also recommend Van Doren's or Rico reeds, and I would recommend a size 2 or 2.5. Once you have your reed, you want to go ahead and wet both sides, so you're going to wet this side and this side. Once you've wet your reed, you're going to go ahead and raise your ligature up, place the reed underneath the ligature just like this, and slide the ligature back down. Now we want to make sure that our reed is perfectly aligned. So if it's too far up, too far down, too much one way or the other, then we will not be able to make a good sound on the clarinet. So perfect reed alignment will have a little bit of a black sliver on top, just like this. And then lining up the ligature with this slight line right there. Just like this. And then we can go ahead and tighten up these screws. We don't want these to choke off the reed, so just tighten them just a little bit, but not all the way. And just like that, we have our reed perfectly aligned. Now that we have the full instrument assembled, we can go over hand position and posture. So first, we're going to raise our left hand, and our left hand's going to be on top. So we're going to find these 3 holes right here. We're going to go pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and our pinky's going to sit gently right there. And then our thumb is going to be on this hole back here, right there. Then right hand, we're going to have 3 holes right here, again, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky sitting right there, with our thumb on this back rest right here. We want to make sure that our thumb is sitting directly right there and not too far over and not too little. Sitting right there. So go ahead and find that hand position. And then once you find that hand position, we can go ahead and set up nice and tall. Good posture is nice and tall. And then bring the instrument to our face. Another note about posture with the clarinet is that we want our clarinet to sit about 30 degrees whenever we put it into our mouth. Now that we've gone over posture and hand position on the clarinet, we're going to go over embouchure, also known as how your mouth is shaped whenever you play the instrument. To do this, we're going to remove the barrel from the upper joint, and we're going to carefully set the clarinet into our case and just have the barrel and the mouthpiece. So now that we just have the barrel and the mouthpiece, we're going to go ahead and work on embouchure. So to do this, we're going to first think of rolling in our bottom lip, ah. So we're going to put the reed rolled in, ah. Next, we're going to drop our top teeth, ah, ah. Then we're going to drop our bottom lip. So rolled in lip, ah, teeth, ah, Whenever we do this, we're going to have firm corners of our lips and then think of a flat chin. So doing this and blowing some air into the head joint will sound like this. Now that we know the basic embouchure of the clarinet, we're going to work on articulation, or how we tongue to start notes. So to do this, we're going to use a little bit behind the tip of the tongue and tongue right here on the clarinet. So we're not going to tongue directly, and we're not going to tongue underneath. We're going to tongue just about right there. And this will sound like this. We're going to go da, da, da. Or on the head joint, it'll sound like this. Now that you can do articulation and get a good sound on the barrel and the mouthpiece, go ahead and reapply the barrel and the mouthpiece onto the clarinet. From here, we're going to remember our good hand position and our good posture. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pinkies, thumbs. And then we're going to go over our first note. The first note that we're going to learn is an E. To play an E, we're going to use our first finger and then our thumb on the back, making sure to cover both holes. And that will sound like this. The next note is D. For this, we're going to go 1, 2, and then thumb on back. And it will sound like this. Lastly, we're going to play C, which is 1, 2, 3, covering all of these holes, and then covering the back thumb hole. And it will sound like this. So now that we know these 3 notes, E, D, and C, we're going to go and work on some echo patterns. So I'm going to turn on a metronome, and you're going to echo what I play by using your ear. We're going to start on the lowest note, also known as C. 1, 2, 3, first. Nice job with those echo patterns. So now we can either redo those, or we can try and make our own song out of those 3 notes. If I was going to make my own song, this is what it would sound like. Now I might have lied to you. That's not my own song. What is that? That's Mary Had a Little Lamb. So you can either play that and learn how to play that by ear, or you can try to make your own melody out of those 3 notes. Once you've spent some time working on those 3 notes and making a song out of them, you're eventually going to have to put your clarinet away. So to do that, we're going to go over disassembly and cleaning the instrument. We're going to first start by removing the ligature, by loosening it to the left, taking it off, and then removing the reed and placing it back into our reed case. We want to make sure to protect this reed. It can easily be damaged. Next, we're going to grab our swab, which is weighted on one end. We're going to flip our clarinet upside down very carefully and drop the swab through the bell, making sure that we have a hold of the swab at all times. And then we'll see the bottom of the swab right here. We're going to grab that and pull carefully, and that will get rid of all of the moisture inside of the clarinet. So you might have to do that a few times before putting away the instrument. Once you've swabbed your instrument a few times to make sure there's no moisture or spit so that it stays clean, we can go ahead and move on to disassembling the clarinet. We're going to work in reverse order, so we're going to start with our mouthpiece, moving the mouthpiece and setting it back into the case. Next, removing the barrel. And remember that we can grab onto where we put our hands normally. Removing the barrel, putting that back in our case. Next, we can remove the upper joint. Then lastly, separating the lower joint and the barrel, or and the bell. Just like that. Put those back in our case. So once we put all of the main pieces back into our case, we want to remember to put our cork grease back in, put it in this slot over here. Make sure to put our reed back into this slot. And then remember to grab your ligature, put your ligature back onto your mouthpiece, remembering that the screws go towards the right. And then putting our mouthpiece cover on top. And then we never want to put our swab back into our case, because the moisture will slowly ruin our clarinet, meaning that we can't play it. So you want to keep the swab outside of the clarinet case and go ahead, close our clarinet case. And there you go. Your instrument is disassembled. Thank you so much for learning the clarinet with me. I hope that you enjoyed and that you're excited to keep practicing and making your own songs out of those 3 notes that we learned. Have fun developing and getting better day by day. Go make music.